Hey, Firecrackers, it's Naomi Sneakers here, and here we are at the Firecracker Department after show. I love doing this because it's a chance for the core Firecracker Department team to sit around and chat about our past episodes. And it's also a chance that I get to see your cute little faces because we're all over the world. We've got AJ Edmonds, who's in Toronto right now, Emily Churchill, who's in Los Angeles, and then Sydney Nielsen, who's also in Toronto. So hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
And we're talking about my chat with Chantal Kreviazuk that I had a couple of months ago. And boy, I loved talking to her. I met her on a film that I did called Kiss and Cry. And just like she was one of those people that we sat next to each other in the makeup trailer and just completely connected right away. Everybody knows Chantal Kreviazuk, of course you do, from her music and her voice hits my heart in a way that most singers don't. You'll know her music from Leaving on a Jet Plane, Feels Like Home. She just came out with a movie that she did with Rain Maida, her husband, from Our Lady Peace, called You're Gonna Break My Heart, which is also heartbreakingly beautiful and authentic, and just exposing her soul is just like right there. So I just love talking to her, and I was so thrilled to have some time. What resonated for you gals? What resonated from my discussion?
Well, the one thing that resonated for me so much is the rabbit hole that people can go down with self-help. Like I was
Right,
like,
because
yes,
you're in Reiki. You do Reiki healing.
yes, and I've read a lot of self-help books, but there is a point where you're like, which I've had that point where I'm like, oh, I can't do anymore right now. Like my brain is done. Like I can't, because you then all you do is think about what every action you do, how it's affecting you and other people, and it is a rabbit hole. And so it's so great to hear her talk about that. Yeah.
And she's smart. I mean, we were surrounded by like her kids jumping in and out of the pool and stuff. Like she does have like a balance to her life that isn't just that. Like she just, at least it seems to me, she balances really well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
AJ, what did you connect to?
I mean, this is one of the first podcasts you've had where you almost didn't talk about her at all. Like like everything she had, she was so confident in all of her opinions about like she can like read people, and she's so self-aware, and she's so just the way she speaks is so different and so awesome because she just has like I just felt like it was like zero BS. She can read and tell you how old like the inside of a tree, and she's just done it since she was 6.
I love
it's such a cool thing because she's a bit adjacent to our world, right? Like all of us are sort of in the film theater space, and she comes from music, which is still of course a huge art form, but it's a very different process and a different sort of like defense mechanisms you have to be employing to be different than other people. And it was just like I almost couldn't even understand what she was saying at the beginning because I was so taken like aback in a great way about just how confidently she speaks about everything. It was such a cool way to like really listen to her thoughts.
And if you follow her on Instagram too, she is just like that. She's just an open book, and as you said, no BS. Like she's gonna just say it like it is. There's no pussyfooting around anything that she wants. She feels in her heart. Yeah, Sid, what do you think?
Yeah, literally, she's like, no, I don't have any fears. No, I don't do that anymore. And like, hi, it's a podcast, and I brought chips and guac. Like, just no question about anything. She just knows exactly what she's bringing, and she's got it. And I just like, even you said, AJ, the way she speaks. Like I wrote down like my dysfunctional background, which like people might call like, I don't know, baggage or like some like other like weird, like the pursuit of awareness and like my job as a human earthling, like not even as like a woman in this space but like literally my job as a human on this earth is like, it's such a great way to like look at things. And I just like her perspective is super unique and was like really awesome to hear.
I think if you're an empath and you naturally want to take care of others and you're very conscious of how what you say affects those around you, you would find perhaps her approach to conveying information a bit jarring. Because it is definitely, it's very forthright. As women, I'm not certain there are a lot of us that are okay just going straight for the jugular if you have to, or being unabashedly to the point. You know, we apologize a lot. And she, in her music, in the way your podcast went down, like even hearing the two of you talk, I could tell in your voice that you were like, this is a new type of individual.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm here.
Well,
but
I second guess myself. Like I don't see her second guessing herself, and maybe she does.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Like I just even like, you know, I try to make sure statements and decisive movements, but at the same time, I'm full of like second guessing too. So, I mean, that's my human side.
And she seems to bestow that upon others in the sense that like she said her third born is religious. So I don't know what if the rest of the family is religious, but that phrasing makes me think that this third kid was just like, this is I would like, who chooses? Like that just seems like such an amazing thing for to support, that they're like, okay, we'll go to church with you on Easter because that's what you want to do. And the fact that that's what they want to do is just like such an amazing like mind that she's like, I guess, bred built.
Yeah, no, you're right. She's very much like, where are we going to take this? And even like with her relationship, she's really, you know, she's really transparent with it, especially in that movie. And they're just walking the walk as far as relationships go too. Like I'm in awe of that kind of bravery, I think. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback on all of that, the self-awareness that she had, and she did say, I don't want to quote per se, but she said something about being self-aware gets you out of victim mode. And that is I don't know if I'm an advocate yet, but I so want to be an advocate for that, because we all have those childhoods that are rough, right? But it's made us who we are. And if we stay in that victim mode, it will eat you alive sometimes. So I think that's a huge, huge positive thing to get out of this, is that you be self-aware and don't be in that victim mode, because it will bring you down if you stay there.
Yeah. AJ.
I do think we have to be cautious though, because for people that had childhoods that weren't traditional, or perhaps were a little more victimizing for young kids, they are more self-aware by the time they get to their 20s.
Hopefully.
There are a lot of people who don't start hitting those road bumps and life chaos until they're in their mid-20s or early 30s. And so when we talk about getting out of victimhood and being self-aware, we're making this assumption that we all were on the same journey as children, and that's simply not the truth. And I think that is perhaps why she is so forthright and no BS. Is she started this when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And if I make a quick assumption, she was probably in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Which still, there wasn't a big place for female solo artists in the 90s and early 2000s. She had to be so hard with her opinions. That's what built her. A lot of us haven't had to face that, and so we aren't as self-aware because we've never had to be.
Yeah, I mean, I had cancer when I was in my 30s, and I remember that like woke me up so much, because before that I didn't really think, I guess I didn't know about trauma as much as I had to live it after that. Like I just kind of existed with like, oh, there were some dips in my childhood and stuff like that, but not like that. Whereas like, somebody like her who went through, as you said, like the industry early in her teens, but also she dealt with some pretty serious things as a kid, that self-awareness just gets introduced earlier. Yeah. What else?
That just makes me think of it's come up before, but one of my favorite shows is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And there's a song that's essentially it's called What You Missed While You Were Popular, and it's about how all the like nerdy kids in high school like know how to deal with themselves better because they've dealt with things. Like the line is like, you might find it hard when adulthood gets so real, while the nerdy kids in high school are like, I got this, no big deal. And it's like truly like you're like, it's easier to deal with things once you've dealt with things. Like it sounds really like redundant, but
I just think what we just learned was that Sydney Nielsen is the person to take to every trivia we ever did.
I would like to go to all the trivia. Bring me to the trivia.
No, you're on my team for sure.
You're on our team.
Yeah.
I won't make up the name though. I'm really bad at making up the names.
Gotcha.
I never make the guy laugh.
You got that covered. Any final thoughts on my chat with Chantal?
It was refreshing, and I appreciated it. Yeah, it was refreshing.
She's ballsy. I know. At the end of it, I was like, I just want to hang out with you, and you can teach me how to not to be scared of anything.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's like, and just as you said at the very end, near the end of the talk, the working hard to have fun in the future thing about how like I'm having fun reading this, or like what's your lazy? We've been kind of having that conversation lately, and that's kind of the same thing. You're like, well, I'm reading this book about small businesses, but I'm reading it so that I can have fun in the future, and I'm kind of having fun now. So balancing the worst scale in the world over here.
Yes.
I love it. AJ, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it was great. I think she was a new type of voice to have on the podcast and really added a bit of dynamic that we didn't have yet. So it's great.
I love it. And also, like, honestly, her music, I was listening to it in the car on the way to see her, and I was just like, oh man, I forgot how many moments in my life she was part of, because there's such beautiful, like, I don't know, her music just hits my heart. It's so beautiful.
Such good driving music too.
Yeah.
It's such like Weight of the World, and like a few, like there's a lot of songs that are on soundtracks that I love that are just like there's such good driving songs.
And I forgot to tell her this one story, but I remember my husband and I, we were doing a show at this theater in, I think it was North York, and we got there early enough to see her sound check, and we sat like in the wings and watched her sound check, and I was like, oh, like it was just one of those magical theater moments when you're watching like somebody that you admire from the side wings and just be like, oh my God, she's just everything in a bag of chips, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of bag of chips, what kind of chips are you eating these days? And what kind of things are you working on these days? My tangents. They're pretty. What are you working on? Emily, what's going on for you these days?
Oh gosh. Oh, I'm doing a workshop for the beginning of the year, hopefully around Chinese New Year, for goal setting. So that should be fun. Yeah.
Right. Where can we find out about that?
My Facebook page, Reiki Healing with M. I'll post some flyers on there for sure.
Fantastic. Sid, what's coming up for you?
Sid is still rolling on season 3 of our Texas Metal. We've built like most of the things by now, and now we're just putting all of it together. So
awesome.
The most beautiful Frankenstein creator that I know.
I'm Frankenstein?
No, you're creating a Frankenstein. Like you're creating. You're not.
No, I got you.
Sure. Creating a monster.
Creating a monster. AJ, what's going on for you?
The first commercial to ever be on broadcast that I produced went up. It's a People's Jewelry commercial for the holidays. So
wow.
All over Canadian TV.
Fancy.
Pretty cool. We'll keep our eye out for that.
Just look for a series of awkward couples talking about what they never got for Christmas.
Oh yay.
Yeah.
That sounds like my kind of commercial.
Sorry. The movie I did this last summer was the Disney Zombies movie 2, part 2, and that's coming out in the new year. So that'll be really fun because, oh my gosh, these kids that are in this movie are killer talented, like singing, dancing, and it's on Disney Plus.
Ooh.
So yeah, go check that out. Thanks everybody, and for those of you who are watching it, thank you so much. Don't forget to go to firecrackerdepartment.com to subscribe, and at FirecrackerDEPT on Instagram and Twitter to join our community. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of the past podcasts. We'd love to hear your opinions, and we'd love to have you part of the Firecracker Department world. So thanks so much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.